there, a very good evening to you. You're live here on GHOne TV. This is News Tonight with me, Natalie, for a look at our top stories. Coming up this evening, despite saying there is no constitutional crisis in the country, Speaker of Parliament Aban Sumana Bakbin accuses the executive and the judiciary of colluding to undermine the lawmaking house.
There is no constitutional crisis in this country.
Also coming up, Electoral Commission finally presents certified voters register to political parties with just 31 days to the December elections.
I hereby declare the 2024 final voters register as duly certified. It is
also ahead on your election hub tonight, parties intensify campaigns with just a month left for the elections. We'll find out what the various aspirants are up to.
Citizens of Asim North are not inferior citizens of Ghana.
The 24-hour economy, the over to went to be I think now about the
materials that we are going to use to construct the railway, we are going to make them in Ghana here.
And ahead in business, bulk oil storage company reduces debt significantly. We'll tell you more. On the international front, Donald Trump declares himself winner of the U.S. elections.
The American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 40.
We bring you the details of these stories and much more news here on News Tonight Tuesday. Let's now settle down for the details here on News Tonight on GHOne TV. Our bulletin streams live for a global audience on X and Facebook at GHOne TV. We get started with parliamentary related news as Speaker of Parliament Aban Bakbin has refuted constitutional crisis claims by Chief Justice Gertrude Arba Esaba Tokonu as a result of indefinite suspension of Parliament. The Chief Justice, during the hearing of the application by the Speaker to vacate the ruling of the Apex Court in the vacant seats brouhaha, questioned why Parliament is not sitting. Addressing the media in an uncharacteristic move, Aban Bakbin described such an assertion by the CJ as a deception. The former Natalie MP explained his decision was well grounded in the procedures of Parliament.
There is no constitutional crisis in this country. I repeat, there is no constitutional crisis in this country. The Parliament of Ghana is alive and working. Let nobody mislead, misinform, or disinform you and the country. The democratic system we adopted and enacted, as captured in the Constitution 1992, and fleshed out in various laws, processes, procedures, and practices, is what has been triggered, and it is working. Let us allow it to work. Democracy is about the rule of law. Let the law work. The democratic system we adopted and enacted recognizes that in the course of operationalizing the system, disagreements will occur and challenges and problems will arise. The system has put in place mechanisms, structures and institutions, processes, procedures and rules to follow and apply to resolve the disagreement, convert the challenges into opportunities, and provide solutions to the problems. This is what is being pursued unapplied. There is no constitutional crisis in the country.
Now, Alban Bakpin further took on the apex court of the land for what he describes as encroachment on the territory of the legislature by the judiciary, warning that the consequences are dire. The speaker further accused President Akufo-Addo and the Chief Justice of engaging in a sin against the Constitution over the handling of the Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill. Alban Bakpin asked the two to repent, revealing his instructions to the clerk to resubmit the anti-gay bill to the president for his assent.
The current brouhaha may be likened to a power play between the arms of government and has the potential to undermine our democracy and the authority of parliament. Its outcomes could subvert Ghana's constitutional order and the democratic system. Ghanaians have toiled, sacrificed their lives, and shed blood to establish for decades. Ladies and gentlemen, recent acts of the judiciary and executive, and I see them as interference in the workings of parliament, pose a direct challenge to the essence, jurisdiction, authority, powers, and functioning of the esteemed institution of parliament, which is the repository of the sovereign will of the people of Ghana. It is increasingly becoming clear the judiciary and the executive are seemingly colluding to weaken parliament. The decision of the Ghanaian voters in the 2020 presidential and parliamentary elections is clear and loud to all discerning people.
Meanwhile, the NDC group in Parliament has served notice that they will take their place as the majority side of the lawmaking house when they sit on Thursday. Governs Agboja is the whip of the side.
It's a result of the directive of Mr. Speaker in line with the Constitution and standing orders. The majority NDC shall attend upon the House at appropriate time as directed by Mr. Speaker. We shall take our rightful place in the chamber up to where we sit and wait for whatever businesses that may come in front of us. Our advice to our colleagues in the minority NPP is to try and prioritize business that is in the interest of the people of this country, and they shall find favor and cooperation with us in trying to deal with those businesses. We can assure them that as long as the business is in the interest of improving the lot of Ghanaians, they can count on the majority NDC caucus in Parliament to support those initiatives to pass those things that would help the people of this country.
Well, let's stay on this and speak with the Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Dramani, for his thoughts on this matter. Good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, you have listened to the Speaker of Parliament addressing the media on this issue. In your view, does his tone suggest that we are far from resolving this impasse between the MPP and NDC?
Yes, indeed, we are, because it looks like we are relying on only legal approaches to deal with this matter. And I believe where we have reached, this matter has gone beyond just, legal approaches. We need some political tools. We need the two sides to find a way either by themselves, which I believe is not possible, or maybe through some parties to get to sit down and dialogue. But it looks like we have run out of time. I thought that when the Speaker adjourned Parliament the last time, that would have given us the opportunity as a country for those who have the moral authority to mediate and two sides closer to each other would have gotten into work. But this evening from the commentary from the MPP side, not going to be out of the woods yet.
So you are proposing that the two parties sit and dialogue to resolve this issue, and you say that the dependence on the legal aspect to solve it is too heavy.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we needed, maybe alongside the legal approach, we needed another track. So maybe a two-track approach. It's like we have ignored second, and in my opinion, the most important, because that's, I mean, what Parliament is all about, to sit down and agree, or sometimes decide, but still work together. But we haven't tackled.
Very briefly, finally, the Speaker did say that it appears that we have the executive and the judiciary sort of working together to undermine the powers of Parliament. Do you agree with this, and how dire would this be, and how dire is this statement, the implications of this?
I mean, the more I listen to the Speaker and all the happenings in the last couple of months and year, i.e., the President Secretary saying Parliament, don't bring this bill near me, clear violation of the Constitution, then parliamentarians themselves into the mouth and the stomach of the judiciary. We haven't seen that before. If you put these two together, I believe that it might not be far from right in terms of his summary of how the two arms view the institution of Parliament.
So much for your time and insight this evening. That's Dr. Rashid Dramani, Executive Director of the Africa Centre of Parliamentary Affairs, joining us on that issue. Certainly more on it subsequently. That wraps up Insight. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Let's turn to some health-related issues this evening. The National HIV and AIDS Control Program of the Ghana Health Service has reported over 34,000 new HIV infections detected from January to the third quarter of 2024. Dr. Addo disclosed this during the launch of the 2024 World's AIDS Day, organized by the Ghana AIDS Commission, which included a solemn candlelight procession in memory of those who have lost their lives to AIDS. Well, let's get onto the phone lines now and speak to the Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission. That's Dr. Steve Treme Etiahene, joining us via Zoom, that is. Good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. First of all, simply put, how exactly did we get here from the start of the year up until now with these high number of cases?
Yeah, good evening to you and your viewers, and thanks for having me.
It's a pleasure to have you. I was asking, how exactly did we get here?
Hello, can you hear me? The line is quite thin.
I can hear you perfectly, Dr. Etiahene. And I'm asking, how did we get here?
Right.
How do you think we got to this stage?
Well, HIV diagnosis is done routinely in the health facilities every day. And so over the last 9 months, that is from January to September, more than 1.3 million people were tested. And out of that number, we have more than 34,000 who tested positive for HIV.
So this is from January to the third quarter of this year. How would you say, specifically, what would you say contributed to this surge within this period?
Well, the HIV infections in the country mainly through sexual contact. So we have sexual transmission accounting for estimated 80% of all HIV infections or transmission in the country. 15% through mother-to-child transmission, and 5%, through other modes of transmission, like use of contaminated sharps. And so sexual transmission is the main transmission route, and the reason for large numbers of infections is because of risks, sexual risk that is quite prevalent among Ghanaians. And so what we might mean by sexual risk, having unprotected sex is a number one sexual risk. And unfortunately, whilst people are having unprotected sex, it is often among multiple partners or multiple sexual partners. And that increases the risk of transmission. And also when people have untreated sexually transmitted infections, especially the ulcerative ones, that also increases the risk. And so multiple sexual partnership is what we need to tackle as a people. But unfortunately, that practice is quite prevalent in the country. And unfortunately, as people engage in high-risk sexual behaviors, the use of condoms actually reducing over the last how many years, 21 or 2 years. Data show that use of condoms have consistently decreased in the country, while sexual risk behaviors continue to increase over the period. And so we need the discipline of reducing our sexual risk by reducing the number of sexual partners and ensuring that we use condoms consistently and correctly anytime we have sex. And if a person is not sexually active, that person is encouraged to remain non-sexually active. If we do this, that is the only way that we can prevent new infections. But unfortunately, most Ghanaians are not interested in taking these preventive measures to ensure that the number of new infections, decline in a substantial way. So that is the challenge, and therefore we need the cooperation of every Ghanaian in this respect.
Very concerning information there. Very briefly, Ghana aims to end HIV/AIDS by 2030. What do these figures mean to the fight, our fight against HIV and AIDS?
What it means is that as at the end of 2023, an estimated 334,000 people were living in Ghana. People with HIV were living in Ghana. And so the HIV population is 334,000 people. Of this number, only 218,000 or so have been diagnosed and they know their HIV status, which means about 116,000 have HIV but do not know because they have not tested. And so it is important for everybody to test to know their HIV status. And HIV testing is free. You can walk to any health facility and get tested. Or you can access self-test kits in your community or in a pharmacy shop where self-test kits are available to test. And then once you test and you are reactive, then you have to seek further assistance from health facilities. So testing to know your status is very important. and then going by the methods of prevention, that is abstinence, being faithful to one uninfected partner, or using condom consistently and correctly.
Dr. Steve Echiahene, thank you so much for your time this evening. Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, joining us there. You're watching News Tonight. Do stay with us. We return with Election Hub.
Are suffering, students are suffering, traders are suffering, pensioners are suffering, drivers are suffering, contractors are suffering, civil servants are suffering, and farmers are suffering, fishermen are suffering, and industries are suffering, artisans and Kayaye are suffering. The disabled are suffering, and men are suffering. Women are suffering, and children and Ghanaians as a whole are suffering.
Vote John Dramani Mahama for president. Trustworthy, honest, and reliable. Vote for change. Choose the umbrella. Vote John Dramani Mahama and the NDC.
i.e. 3 music awards, the late President Rollis' state funeral, Emmys Africa Awards, and a number of them.
My experience with the GHOne van has been the state of the art equipment they have. Personal experience is you can use it for both indoor and outdoor, all events, conferencing, like anything you need a van to work for you, GHOne provides it.
My experience with the van has been very good. Why? Because it has a number of facilities that I may not get in other vans. You know, the van has a very wide bench that can accommodate all my technical crew. ICCU, switcher, graphics, CG, and all of that. And then it also has a studio, a green room studio that comes with TriCaster. So if you want somebody to do commentary on a live event, you can put that presenter who's in that studio as well and get that running.
To give an experience to our audience who are also watching on TVs and online. Work with an Exo technology system which makes your video mixing with Panasonic cameras, like a lot of other stuff in terms of content you need to get also for your live broadcasts.
I prefer the GHOne van to a lot of other vans I've used, or even doing my own setup on a tabletop setup. Because on a production you see a number of people in the van. And so if you have a very small van, it means that it's going to be choked, and that will affect the creativity as well. The price has been discounted as well to accommodate varied budgets. And so no matter the budget you have, I understand you can have the truck and do business with it.
It looks huge, but very affordable. Cost is really, really affordable. My experience with this EMI Awards last year, super excellent. Try it, call them, and I'm going to give you the best of price. Really affordable.
You're welcome back to News Tonight. We've got just 31 days to the 2024 general elections. Let's take Election Hub next. Here on your Election Hub this evening, the Electoral Commission has presented the final certified voters register to all registered political parties ahead of the 2024 general elections. The Commission, at a press conference on November 6, 2024, described the final voters register as robust, as no concerns or issues concerning the register were raised by representatives of political parties. Here is Chairperson of the Elections Management Body, GHOne addressing political party representatives and journalists.
Following the re-exhibition of the revised provisional voters register, the Commission received a total of 158 issues from registered voters across the country. I'm pleased to note that all the issues have been resolved, and as we speak, we have no further issues regarding the final voters register for the 2024 general election. As you may recall, at that meeting, we provided the political parties with a template on which to report any issues they had with the revised provisional voters register. I'm again pleased to inform you and the good people of Ghana that no political party presented any issues regarding the register for resolution. I'm pleased to note that we now have a robust and credible final certified voters register, which is fit to deliver a credible, transparent, fair, peaceful and glorious election come the 7th of December 2024.
Now, with just a few days to the Ghana's December 7 elections, some homeless persons in Accra say that they feel left out of the political process, focused instead on daily survival over casting a ballot. Many of them express a sense of disconnection from the electoral system as they struggle to find food, shelter and security on the city's streets. GHOne News' Victoria Abugri has more in this report.
Being homeless is a daily struggle. At the Kwame Nkrumah interchange, commonly known as Circle, sleeping on the pavement is a familiar sight. But as the upcoming elections draw closer, will these individuals head to the polls? Some homeless citizens shared their thoughts, expressing skepticism that any government can truly improve the economy for the average Ghanaian. For many, survival, finding food and shelter is their top priority. The idea of voting, they say, feels distant and almost irrelevant. However, not everyone feels entirely disconnected. Some still feel a sense of responsibility to choose a candidate, albeit for reasons that may surprise you.
I'll vote for Baumia because what he has done to Ghana surprised me. That might surprise me because before you cannot send money through mobile phone to your parents, but now you can do all those things. The policy that he wrote is very important and it will help Ghana.
Others remain indifferent, saying they might wear a party t-shirt if given one, though that doesn't necessarily mean they will vote for that candidate. As election day approaches, the voices of Ghana's homeless citizens serve as a poignant reminder of the deep divide between politics and the everyday struggle for survival.
All the poor of economy, that's why we come like this. Because if I vote for
the person couldn't help me in this Ghana, what would you do? Because we are young boys, we are youth, we need work. That's what we eat, that's why we are here. I'm a citizen, I did my town, but I shouldn't get some place to do, I shouldn't get work to do. Since I vote 4 times. I vote for MP. I'm an NPP candidate, but now I tire for them. Every day we sleep here. Some people think we are mad because we sleep here. Because of the poor economy, that's why we sleep here.
For GHOne News, Victoria Abugis reports.
A revealing one there. In other election-related news, President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo says voting for GHOne Dramani Mahama and the NDC in the December elections would represent a step backwards for the country. He argues that Mahama and the NDC have nothing new to offer Ghanaians. Speaking at a meeting with chiefs and elders in the Western North region on Wednesday, President Akufo-Addo emphasized that the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, embodies fresh hope and progress for Ghana.
GHOne Dramani Mahama. Obeba hebio asani ato abano babu bisano. Kumasi Brewery, na wo Kumasi, on your Guinness, yes, Star Beer. They used to run 3 shifts in 24 hours. They're 24-hour cycle production. Oh, Kumasi Brewery. They used to run 3 shifts. Nebreso in the Guye, a free Kumasi, and baby. Open 24-hour economy, the over to went to me, I can see. I think now about the Mumenya mistake. Mumenya mistake and koyachi. Yan taiba umiechi and yan koyanim. Now to take us to the next step in the development of Ghana.
Meanwhile, former President GHOne Dramani Mahama has once again taken a swipe at Ghana's judiciary, calling out what he calls a gross injustice done to the people of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Likpe and Lolobi Sao, who have been left without parliamentary representation since 2020. He accused the judiciary of failing these communities, indicating that it is an unforgivable breach of their rights and one that tarnishes the foundations of Ghana's democracy. GHOne Mahama made these remarks in Akpafu in the GHOne constituency during his campaign tour of the OT region.
Now, you see, what goes round comes round. Now, some seats were declared vacant by the Speaker. Then they quickly ran to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court that earlier said it had no jurisdiction over vacancies in Parliament suddenly issued a stay of execution against the Speaker. And one of the reasons they give is that 2 months to an election, it is not fair for the people of those 4 constituencies not to have a representative in Parliament. I mean, what kind of justice is this? Nobody is superior to another in Ghana. And the justice system must be consistent. If it is inconsistent, it is not fair to the people of this country. Because you treat people one way, 4 years they can be without a member of parliament, it doesn't matter. Their representation is not important to you. Jechikwesin should be out of parliament for almost 2 years, it doesn't matter. Because they are saying enough people are not your people. Then, when it comes to MPP MPs, the Speaker declares their seats vacant for 1.5 months until we go to election. That one, it is unheard of. Their human rights are being affected. I mean, what kind of justice system is this? You know, and we believe that an injustice was done to the people of Sao, and it, as he said, it has been called the cardinal sin of the Fourth Republic. And never again must this happen. The rights of everybody in Ghana are important. And everybody must be equal before the law. The people of Central Kofi, Akpafu, Lolobi, and Likpe are not inferior citizens of Ghana. The citizens of Asin North are not inferior citizens of Ghana compared to the two that the Supreme Court is struggling to defend their representation. There will be more to say about this in the future, but we believe that one of the important things that we need for our democracy to survive is for our judiciary to carry out the reforms that make it consistent, that make it fair, and that make it able to dispense justice without fear or favor.
Now, the youth of Zongo communities across Ghana have been urged to disassociate themselves from violence before, during, and after the December 7 elections, following concerns that Muslim youth are often tagged as perpetrators of violence in the country. This advice was given by the special aide to the National Chief Imam, Dr. Mohammed Marzouk Abubakari, at the launch of the National Zongo Peace Campaign in Accra on Wednesday.
Who wants to use you for violence is a useless politician. Any of us who want to be allowed to be used for peace is a useful, wise person. And if we want to be used as apparatus of violence, then we become useless idiots. So my message is clear. Don't be a useless idiot for a useful idiot. And don't be a useful idiot for a useless idiot.
We remain your election hub, bringing you the most comprehensive election-related news in the next 31 days leading up to the general elections. That wraps up Election Hub. In business news this evening, the Managing Director of Bulk Oil Storage and Transports at BOST, Dr. Edwin Alfred Ni Obodai Provençal, has announced a significant achievement in debt reduction. The $37 million debt claims made by bulk distribution companies, BDCs, against BOST have been substantially reduced to $9 million and fully paid off. Dr. Provençal further revealed that all other outstanding debts on BOST books have been cleared, marking a remarkable turnaround for the company. This development underscores BOST's transition from making losses in the past to currently recording substantial gains. Under Dr. Provençal's leadership, BOST has made notable strides. In 2021, the company posted a profit of 163 million cedis, more than doubling it to 342 million in 2022.
You remember I talked about the 460 million cedis local debt. God being so good, it has been paid off 100%. That debt is cleared. We set up a committee. When I came in 2019, my predecessor, may his soul rest in peace, George Oakley, had set up a committee to look into these claims again. When I joined, I invited IOCO and National Security to be part of that committee. And when they did the forensic audit together with the internal team, the people who said we owe them $37 million, the same people eventually signed that it was no more $37 million, but it is $9 million. We saved this country a whopping $28 million, which had already, the $37 million had been approved for BOST to pay. We were able to bring it down to $9 million. And I'm happy to say that we have paid 100% of the $9 million to the people we owed.
Flag bearer of the governing MPP, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has promised that the materials that will be used for the construction of railway lines will be produced in Ghana. This, he says, will include the concrete slabs. Dr. Bawumia made this known too while campaigning in Ifija Setra East constituency. At a stakeholder engagement, he indicated that his team has engaged the University of Mines and Technology on coming up with ways to make this possible.
Resources be Ghana, but yintimi you see and blue mine and man put to, but because real only hope. Yeah, meaning say we were now forward. You are focusing on roads. But idea me person medical a railway development in Ghana. From Accra all the way to Kumasi to Pada. This a railway no. A boy from Kumasi through to Takoradi. This a railway no. A boy a Jisu to Eduarding. This a railway no. A boy. Now your resources no etmiaba. Ye railway no. Then the Buankra port will be very, very important. Buankra port no. A very Buankra port no. But you need the rail from Accra to Kumasi. Into your real no, we will share investors real no. It's one of my major priorities for the transformation of Ghana. The best is Ghana but real no many human for Akasa. We pese ye importing concrete slab steel at the end of the year real no. I've told them to come up with a way, say all the materials that we are going to use to construct the railway, we are going to make them in Ghana here. You can say all the materials right here. And there I am no importing concrete slabs from China. Concrete slabs for rail development. Now they say, yeah, imported you. All we have the technology, we have the capacity. So we have the real no idea. But we have to do it here and use our labor to lay the lines across. We have the capacity. And no here and no ever boy and no idea Juma Bibri ebeba. Amaye. The person I ever say you could have Bibri, you say more digital skills. And then we also have digital digital skills met na agona ha na uye juma wo America, Canada, UK na uye dollars ewa ha eyesa enti yebe ma training ama 1 million youth.
Well, that's all the business news you've got for you this evening. Stay with us. Sports news comes up shortly.
And you welcome on to sports. West Ham winger Mohamed Kudus has been handed a further 2-game ban after admitting violent conduct following his red card against Tottenham Hotspur. Now, Kudus back a minute of the game as West Ham lost 4-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on October 19, and he was initially shown a yellow card for a foul on Mickey van der Ven, but he proceeded to push both Dutch defender and Papa Matassar in the face. Additional suspension extends his ban from 3 to 5 games now, meaning he will be eligible to return against Leicester in December. That's December 3rd. Now, Kudus has also been fined £60,000, and West Ham were fined £30,000 as well for failing to control the behavior of their players. Let's go on to some boxing news now, where the anticipated boxing bout dubbed Street to Champions is set to take place at Center Point Mall on November 16 of this year. The event, organized by 8 Power Promotions and pushed together by Center Point Mall, provides support for less privileged amateur boxers in Ghana who are looking to go further in the sport.
The Street to Champions is a boxing tournament aimed at taking young people off the streets. Will feature over 100 amateur boxers spread across 3 events, with competition starting from the round of 16 for each weight division. Losers are eliminated and winners advance to the next stage. In the end, the eventual champions are assured managerial and/or promotional deals with international partners. Speaking at the launch, CEO for Ace Power Promotion said the idea behind this tournament is to empower young people to showcase their talents through boxing, thereby uplifting them and their families from poverty.
Make the next Azuma Nelson. We want to make the next Joseph Agueko. We want to make the next Richard Comey. We want to make the next, as I said, Ipote. That is why we are doing this Street to Champions. And it honors us from Ace Power that Center Point Mall has found it worthy to collaborate with us. A lot more times, champions are made from the street. There are young people who don't even have gyms. They don't have coaches. But I tell you, if they get into the ring, their leg work, their movement, their jabs, their power punch will let you know that, oh, this guy will be a next great thing that will happen for Ghana. That is why we have not restricted it to gyms and to coaches and to. We have said that, listen, so far as you are 21 and you are not beyond 21, you can be part of the Street to Champions fight night.
In addition, professional fights will also feature regularly on the bill to entertain fans during these events at the Plush Center Point Mall, located at Atomic Junction near Legon. On November 16, Holy Jaw Breaker Dobeto defends his IBF Continental Africa Featherweight title against Clement Loko of Benin in the headline bout of the show, which also features Tokyo 2020 Olympic bronze medalist Samuel Ring Warrior Techi, Accra 2023 gold medalist Mohammed Golden Star Ayite, and Ghana Super Lightweight champion Samuel No Chance Quay, amongst others. Techi and his opponent in the lightweight scheduled 8-rounder Emmanuel Quote were the first to face off at Tuesday's press conference, followed by Samuel Quay versus Michael One Bullet Answer for Quay's Ghana Super Lightweight title.
That's it for sports. Up next now is international news.
Well, I want to thank you all very much. This is great. These are our friends. We have thousands of friends on this incredible movement. This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before.
Now that there was former U.S. President Donald Trump thanking supporters in his victory speech. Some hours ago, Trump is projected to officially win the U.S. election after picking up 3 key battleground states, North Carolina, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. The race between the former president and vice president, Kamala Harris, was keenly contested. To become president, the winning candidate needs 270 electoral votes or more, with each state carrying a different number of votes. However, neither Trump nor Harris have yet secured votes to win. Now, this was much earlier in the day, and now we do understand that it's confirmed that former President Donald Trump is leading the race with the most electoral votes and has declared victory. He addressed supporters at his election watch party in Palm Beach, Florida, earlier today.
We made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that. We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear that we've achieved the most incredible political thing. Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Well, we do understand that Vice President, that Kamala Harris is yet to officially address Americans concerning and concede defeat to Donald Trump. We have lots more international news and local stories available on our website, starfm.com.gh. It was produced by Musa Lanza, directed by Benini. I'm Natalie Fort. Thanks for watching. Have an incredible evening.